Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another edition of the Sunday Morning Shred with me, Mark Murray. This is the show where you wake up on Sunday morning, go get your coffee or whatever you like, sit down on the couch, crawl back in bed, whatever, and you throw on the show. It's here waiting for you every Sunday morning, and I talk to you about guitars, my show Trash to Thrash. I give you some behind the scenes on that. Many of you guys know I have a crazy collection of almost 50 guitars, so I'll show you a couple of my guitars sometimes and some of the guitars I've been working on. I tell you some of the upcoming projects coming out. Talk to different people, you know, in the guitar world, the guitar industry, and then I answer a Q&A. So today I'm going to be showing you another guitar from my collection. I got a guitar that it's about to go up for sale that I just recently finished. Really cool guitar. And then I have a little bit of behind the scenes of Trash to Thrash. I want to show you a little bit of how I keep track of all the guitars I've been working on, because lately I've been working on a ton of guitars. As you'll see in the next few weeks on that show, I've been getting a lot of people sending me their guitars to work on, so I'll show you a little bit of how I keep track of that stuff. I'm also going to be talking to my friend Matt Clark, who lives over in the UK. He's a bassist and a pedal builder. So we got some really cool news with him. And then at the end of the show, I got a bunch of questions from you guys from Instagram and down in the YouTube comments. So as you're watching the show, if you have questions that you're thinking of and you want me to answer them on the next episode, write them down in the comments below, and maybe I'll select your question for next week's show or possibly even the week after that. So if I get too many questions, I keep them on a big long list, and I'll go back and I'll pull other ones back. So the first thing I want to show you guys, as I take a sip from my coffee, is this one here. This is another guitar. I get a lot of questions about these guitars. I've got a couple of them, and I've owned a couple different ones of this same model. But it's an Epiphone Explorer 1984 EX model, and clearly it's a James Hetfield style guitar. This one's the white one. I also have a black one, and I've also owned other white ones, and they're solid guitars. I think they're made, to be honest, they're made in China. I just found that out. Didn't know that. And for Chinese-built guitars, these things are impressive. They come with Grover tuners. They come with ebony fretboard, mahogany body and neck. It's a set neck, so you can see solid construction on these. They come stock with EMG 81 and 85 pickups, but I just switched this one out to the het set. So black chrome het set. Those things look gorgeous. Look a lot better than the stock, you know, plasticky EMG look that they came with. And I have a video coming out pretty soon here on this channel. That'll be the A-B test. I played a bunch of Metallica riffs with the old pickups, and then I played a bunch of the exact same riffs with these pickups, and then A-B'd them back to back so you could hear the difference before and after. And to be honest, it wasn't as big of a difference as I expected, because the het set is based off, from what I've heard, the 5766 set, which is supposed to be like way more modern sounding than the 81, 85, which is like the old school thrashy Black Album type of sound. But it sounds awesome, it looks awesome, and somebody had sent me these, and so I said, you know what, let's throw them in this guitar, because what better guitar to throw the het set pickups in than a white Explorer like this. The thing that really drew me to these guitars is, for years, they always sold the Epiphone Explorers, but they had pick guards on them, and they didn't look that cool with the pick guard, in my opinion. I mean, it's a classic guitar, it's cool, but as far as like the Metallica, the metal look, no pick guard, and the layout of like the master volume, master tone, and the three-way selector switch down there. It's got that classic James Hetfield, Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning era look, and it doesn't get much cooler than this. There's just something about certain guitars when you're playing them and you look down while you're playing them that it makes you kind of almost feel like the guy that you've seen playing that guitar all these years. When you play like an old, like a original looking Frankenstrat, you look down, like there's something about it that you're just like, wow, I can't believe I'm playing this. The same thing with these guitars. When you look down, it's like you feel like powerful. You feel like James Hetfield. And the tone that they make is awesome. These things sound good. Stock, they sound great. The other one I have, the black one, is still has the stock pickups in it. So I might switch the neck pickup to an EMG 60. It's got the 85 now. And I've done a comparison. You can look through my videos. I've done a comparison of the 85 and the 60, but the 60 just sounds a little juicier when you go to, like, especially with cleans, when you go to a clean, the 60 sounds so good. The 85 sounds great too, though. I don't want to knock it. Yeah, so these guitars, they come with Grover tuners, A lot of really nice quality things about this, and I'm not sure if this one is original or not. The other white Explorer I used to play all the time that you'll see in a ton of my older videos had black hardware, and that one was stock. I bought that one brand new. But this one, I found it on eBay recently. I found it for super cheap. It was like 500 bucks or something, and it has all chrome hardware. And one of the things I liked about that is James Hetfield's Explorers always had chrome hardware. He never had black hardware on his white ones. When he signed with ESP, he started playing MX250s, and again, maybe the EX250s, I'm probably going to get corrected on this, maybe the EX250s had black hardware, but to me, the iconic James Hetfield Explorers are his classic white ones, and then his newer MXs in black, like the Wolf to Man and some of the other ones like that, those ones are awesome. Those definitely had black hardware, and so I'm going to leave my black one, of course, with that, but I decided to sell the one with the black hardware and keep the one with the chrome hardware, and yeah, it's a cool guitar. So if you ever come across one used and you're an Explorer fan, I mean, those things are awesome. I've owned LTD Explorers before too, and they're great, but for the price that they're starting to be, I mean, people really are trying to, like, they become like collector's items, I guess, and for like $1,000 I mean, I guess the Explorer, these Epiphone ones sometimes go for $1,000 too, so not cheap guitars, but they're worth it for sure. This is another one. So this is a Jackson Kelly. It's a 1993 one. It's one I just recently finished a couple weeks ago, and it's got stealth blood splatter. So you could see I redid the headstock. It's flat black with gloss black blood splatter. This thing is awesome. I kind of based it a little bit off the Stealth Frankenstrat that I did a couple months ago. You know, flat black with the gloss black stripes. But this one's got the splatter instead. All black hardware. It's truly stealth. EMG 81 and 60 set, which I was just talking about. I love those pickups. And they're in black brushed metal. So look at those pickups. They just are so cool looking. Might be my favorite finish for EMG pickups now. You guys may know that I'm a huge fan of gold hardware, but now after I built this guitar and I put these pickups in a couple other guitars, this might be my new finish for EMG pickups. So, I mean, I'm not going to go out and change all my gold guitars over to black hardware or anything like that, but for future builds, I'm definitely going to be considering, especially if I do like a black nickel or black chrome Floyd Rose on something, these things would look really good with that. So it's also got a black Iron Age kill switch, non-LED, because I figure on a black guitar, I don't really love putting a LED kill switch in it, because then you're adding a color. They don't make a black LED, so you're gonna have to add like blue, red, green, yellow, something. And when you got an all blacked out guitar, I don't know, it just changes the vibe when you throw in a splash of color, which sometimes that makes the guitar and it makes it way cooler. But other times I kind of feel like I want it to stay all black. I want it to be just this, you know, like the stealth bomber of guitars, like this one. This one looks so dark and evil and awesome. I love it. So I just set up a Shopify store. If you're already following me on Instagram and you go to my profile, you'll see there's a link to the store. I'm going to figure out how to link it to guitarguts.com. So all the guitars, the custom ones I have completed, will be up there in one, they call it a collection, one collection of completed guitars that you can buy my guitars through my site now. I'm also going to set up a second collection, which is like all the ones that I have ready to start. I'm constantly buying guitars, anytime I find a good deal on something that I know I can fix up for Trash to Thrash, I'll swoop it up. And I'm starting to acquire 10 guitars or something like that. I'll actually show you. So this is how I keep track of some of the guitars I have here. When people are messaging me all the time and they're like, what guitars do you have for sale? And I don't have a website for them yet. And I don't always put them right up on Reverb. It's kind of hard to remember them all because look how many there are. I've got an OLP Sparkle. I've got a couple Wolfgangs. I got a couple Frankenstrats going. I got the Tiger Rhodes that if you've been watching Trash to Thrash, that purple and teal Tiger Rhodes. I got a Jackson Soloist, a couple Flying Vs. I got a Roswell. I got a Ibanez Proline V. I mean, there's even actually a couple more that I just recently got that haven't even made it to this list yet. I got a couple completed ones down on the bottom of the whiteboard. So this is just the shop guitars. Some of these are started, some of them aren't. But then when people message me and go, you know, I'm looking for a soloist, I'll look at my list and go, oh, I got a soloist for you. Or they go, what do you have available? So I'll go through my list and tell them, you know, these are the ones I'm about to start building up. I have ideas in my head of what I want to do with them, but if they have something in their head that they want me to customize it for them, I'm always more than happy to do that, because I love getting people's input. I love brainstorming with people when they message me and say they don't know exactly what they want, or they have ideas, but they want my ideas thrown into the mix. It's always fun to kind of collaborate and come up with something really cool and custom that's just for them. This is my other whiteboard here. So this is the list of the guitars that either people have sent me or the ones that were on this other list that are now purchased, and then I move them over to this list. So these are like the top priority when I'm building guitars. These are the ones that are either sold or in my possession now that I'm working on. And anytime I have a customer guitar, that takes priority over if I have a custom guitar that I'm building, like the Stealth Kelly here. It took me a lot longer to build than maybe it would have if I didn't have any customer guitars here. But I always give the customer guitars top priority. So lately I haven't been finishing up as many custom full builds like I was in the beginning of the Trash to Thrash series. If you notice, like the Alien Blood Rhodes and the other Rhodes, the white with the red blood, and what was the Blood Shadow Haxon, and a couple of the other Jacksons I was building up in the first few episodes. Well, now that the show's been getting more popular, I've been getting way more requests for people to have me rebuild their guitars. So you're actually going to see the next few episodes, I'm going to be just working on customer guitars, and they're all going to be as cool or cooler than the ones I've already been building on my own. So a lot of the ideas that I've used before, people liked them but wanted them tweaked different ways, and then a lot of things we're doing are going to be completely different and like really cool stuff. I know there's a couple that are going to be Crackle, and you guys will see. So make sure to tune in to Trash to Thrash the next few weeks, of course. Go back at the beginning, watch them all. I suggest binging them. And then, of course, I have, this is like the custom order form. When I get a message from somebody that wants a guitar from me, I fill out one of these. It's like basically how I do my estimates. And I'll do like probably almost 20 of these things a week. So I'm constantly filling these things out, writing numbers down on the side, figuring out how much all the parts cost, figuring out, you know, very specifically what they want, and asking them questions back and forth. So I fill out a custom guitar form. And I have my clipboard here, so the clipboard opens up, and then there's a bunch of completed guitars I've already done. There's blank forms, there's other notepads in here and stuff. So this is the way that I keep track of everything right now. And as the volume continues to increase, at some point I'm probably going to have to change the system, but for now, this is working. So let's get into, I had Matt from Goliath Studios UK on. He's a pedal builder, and he is a bass player, and we have some big news coming up, so check this out. Hey, how's it going, Matt?
Not bad. Can you hear me okay?
I do hear you. How you doing, man?
Not so bad, mate. Yourself?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's, you know, so everybody that's watching knows he's over in the UK, I'm in California, so we got an 8-hour difference, and over here it's 10 a.m., over there it's 6 p.m., but, well, I wanted to have you on today because, you know, I see what you're doing over there, building pedals. I've seen your work. It looks awesome. And you know, you got like an awesome business outlook. You're not in this just to make a quick buck here. You're in this for the long term. You're reinvesting. You're doing all the things that, you know, I think that are the right things to do for someone who's starting out a business this way. And yeah, man, it's you know, it's awesome to see someone over there starting up from the ground level.
From ground up, yeah. I've only been doing it for about 8 months as well. So been quite a good learning curve, but I've always been that kind of my job's, you know, electrical engineering anyway. So it's kind of just taking my love of guitar stuff to that next level, really, you know, incorporating it with something that I do as a job. So yeah, I enjoy it.
So is that where you learned how to like solder and like read schematics and stuff like that? You do that as a job?
Kind of, yeah. I'm more instead of like this is electronics, I'm more electrics, which is like working like light bulbs and that kind of thing. But yeah, I suppose it kind of goes hand in hand. That a lot of this kind of soldering that I do now is more, it's a lot finer. There's more finesse to it. So that's been a bit of a learning curve. It's trying to get the look that I want out of the internals of the pedals, the gut shots, as it were.
Yeah, that's the stuff that I saw that I was impressed by when I first saw your page. I was like, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm not the only one though. You're starting to build pedals for some pretty high up people, some pretty well-known musicians.
Well, yeah. I've got a couple of people that I've built that I'm building for. Yeah. So Sophie Burrell is one of the people I'm getting a pedal to. Jamie Humphreys, he's got one of my SD1 clones, which I painted with the EDH stripes, which you're a massive fan of as well, are you? So, and then a gentleman over your neck of the woods, John Campbell from Lamb of God. So, yeah, I'm quite chuffed with, quite pleased.
I mean, when it comes to the metal world and Instagram people, influencers, between that group of people you just mentioned, it doesn't really get much bigger than that. So you're definitely onto something here. So you said 8 months. So did you learn to solder and just to do pedals, or was that something you had already known how to do?
How to solder already, but like I said, it was just the finesse of it, making all the because you've got a fine line between getting a good solder joint and that good solder joint absolutely just going mental, and then you losing all the work that you've done, it just spilling out. Because I use what's called Vero board, strip board. If two solder joints on two separate strips get too close to each other, they'll just blend into one, and then that's a bit of a nightmare situation where you've got to desolder everything and then start again. So yeah, it's like I say, I could solder beforehand, but now I've got to.
Yeah, you actually suggested for me to insert like a bass fuzz circuit into a customer's bass, because I was building a Frankenstrat bass and there's an empty cavity there, and you're like, you should put a bass fuzz circuit in there. And I was using that tiny little board, and you're not kidding, man. It's like it magnetizes over to the next strip over, and then all of a sudden you got a short, and you might not notice why, and you realize, oh crap, I'm shorting out these two lines.
Yeah. And then if you even in like the most minute bit of solder that like you say shorts out onto one, sometimes you can't see it, and it takes debugging why your pedal's not working or why your pedal's noisy to the whole next level. Sometimes I've had to start again just to try and rectify a fault because I've not noticed this tiniest amount of solder. You know what I mean?
Have you always been a gear nerd and like into pedals and stuff? Because I know you play bass, but did you start playing bass, or did you start with guitar and then were you like into bass pedals and stuff like that?
No, I started. Well, I tinkered with guitar. I was kind of a late bloomer to actually playing an instrument. So because like I'm nearly 42 now, and I didn't really pick up a guitar until I was about 25, and then just tinkered around at home. And then a good friend of mine, Nick, says, look, I've got to get in a band together and I need a bassist. And he says, do you fancy trying to learn bass? So he said, that's pretty easy. So that's what I did, and that was about 12 years ago. But I've not really been a gear nerd. I've usually just gone direct straight into an amp. I've been using Ashdown for like literally 12 years since I started. Straight into an Ashdown head with the valve gain on it cranked a little bit, and it wasn't really until sort of 3-4 years ago when I started to get into pedals, and then started with the usual bass subjects like the EHX bass muff deluxe was like a staple of the board, and then the Dark Glass Alpha Omega came out, and then that was it. Then that's literally one of the pedals that I bought, and I didn't need anything else after that one. But now I kind of focus more on fuzzies, which is what's led me to building pedals, because obviously fuzz pedals seem to be but simpler in their design and structure and build, and you can get a bit more of a rawer sound from them, I would say. Yeah, that's kind of like how my pedal journey's gone. Really, it's not super exciting or anything, but.
So what was the first one that you built? The first pedal that you got, and it was complete and worked perfect.
It was a kit. I bought a tube screamer kit, and it was a Maxon OD 808 clone, and I bought it, and literally PCB soldered it all together, and it worked on the first click. And then I thought that was cool. That was really cool. I really enjoyed doing that. And I got talking to Jamie Slays, who's another YouTuber, and built him one. Sent that down to him. Yeah, he loved that as well. It was exactly the same kit, you know, a Maxon 808 clone. And then I ordered a Bazfuss kit. Anyway, this is where it kind of went downhill pretty quick. I ordered that, built it, and wondered why it didn't work. I was like, why is this not working? I followed the instructions, I followed the schematic, but I put the transistor in the wrong way around. In my attempt to unsolder this transistor, I burnt it out. So I thought, right, what I'll do is I'll look at the schematic, just buy all the components that I need for it, and then build my own and see what happens. That's what I did. I built one, and that worked first click. Once I got my head around like the bass collector, an emitter on a transistor, and what needs what power and what sends outputs and stuff, all that sort of stuff. And then yeah, it was a slippery slope then, and yeah, just started building and collecting and building and collecting. So that was the first 3 pedals, and that's what got me hooked.
What do you think would be like if somebody wants to try building a pedal but they're intimidated by it? What do you think would be like the easiest? Maybe it's to start with a kit. Sounds like it might be easier than trying to find all your own parts. But what's like the easiest pedal you think to build?
I would say like something as simple as a boost or the Bazfuss, you know, a kit like that. As long as you put the transistor in the right way and don't mess it up like what I did. But yeah, I'd say something like that. Definitely a kit. Buy a kit from wherever. Like over here in the UK, we've got Jed's Peds and Fuzzdog. They make excellent kits. I know you guys in America, you've got a lot of different people like pedal PCBs and stuff that do kits. Definitely start with a kit. Follow it step by step. Measure all your resistors out. Use it if you haven't got a tool to measure them. There's like resistor code calculators online that you can work out what resistance a resistor's got. Just follow it to the letter, and it should work on the first click. So I'd definitely follow that. And then if you get hooked, that, you know, which you probably will do, then you can progress on to buying more and more bits.
I like what you did too, where you bought the kit and then you bought all the parts to build the kit on your own to kind of verify and like make sure that you can figure out what parts to buy. I think that's like a cool middle step too.
Yeah. Once you start, because then once you bought all the bits, like a Bazfuss has got 5 sorry about that, about 5 components, you know what I mean? So, but when you buy them, you get in packs of 10 or packs of 20 of them components. That just leaves you this pile. You've built that one that you wanted to build, and then it leaves you this pile of other bits, you know. And then you think, well, what else uses a 10K resistor? You know what I mean? What else uses this 1N914 diode? You know, that's what I did. And then I Googled it, and I was like, ooh, that looks like a cool pedal. Then I YouTubed it, listened to some samples, found a layout or a schematic, And then I was like, oh, I need a few more bits, and that's where it kind of went south. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, I need more bits. Kept buying and buying and buying, and then yeah, eventually now I can look at schematics or Vero's layouts and just go, I've got all them bits. I'm going to build that. Like I've just built Russian green muff as well. Literally, I had just looked at the Vero and said, I've got all of them bits, and just thought, right, I'm going to build it.
Man, it's awesome what you're doing. Matt and I have been talking a lot because not only did I have my first son recently, and he's got a young son himself, but also he's going to be building the first GuitarGuts pedal. So it's going to be a boost pedal with a kill switch built into it, and it's going to have a splatter paint job. I mean, it's going to be totally something that I would use, I would buy, I would build, but Matt's going to be building them for me. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I really think a boost pedal is like so underrated at the minute. You know, like a lot of metal players, they're using a tube screamer, and the gain's all the way off. You know, the tone's all the way off, and they're just boosting their signal with the volume. So, you know, I think a lot of people could look at boost pedals and just embrace them a bit more. I know, like the one we've talked about is a transparent pedal, so it will not change the tone. You know, so what's going into it will come out the other side exactly the same, but it'll be depending on where that dial is. It'll either be 1 dB boosted or 20 dB boosted. You know, so I think a lot of people underestimate a good boost pedal. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, a lot of people, when I build custom guitars for people, the two things they ask me for the most, little upgrades is a kill switch and a boost circuit. And I put boost circuits in guitars a bunch of times, but, you know, boost circuits, when you buy them retail, EMG makes one, it's like $80 off the shelf. And to put one, if you have 5 guitars, you know, you're talking hundreds of dollars to put boosts in all your guitars. When there is something to be said for having it on your guitar. So when you're walking around on stage or whatever, you can hit the boost easily. But when you have 5 guitars and you use a boost in a bunch of different songs of yours, or or if you're switching out, guitars, even if it's just 2 different guitars, it'll be cheaper just to buy a pedal that you can throw on your pedal board and have that right there. Like it seems like a no-brainer. Not that many people are using them though.
No, I agree, mate. Yeah, totally. So definitely looking forward to seeing how these come out, especially with our little paint splatter technique.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. And after this, I got a couple other ideas. I think I have them written down. I have 6 ideas down here for different other pedals I want to have you build for me. So we're going to start with that one, and then we're going to have like a whole line of GuitarGuts pedals built by Goliath, and it's going to be awesome. Is that the name of your pedal company? Is it going to be Goliath Studios Pedals?
Yeah, it's just going to be Goliath Studios, yeah.
Awesome. All right, Matt. Well, it was really good to talk to you, man. It's good to talk to you I would say face-to-face, but it's not really face-to-face.
Yeah, because like we do message quite a lot, really, but yeah, it's good to actually, interact, especially the way the world is at the minute. You know what I mean? It's nice to actually just talk to people as well.
I agree. And by the way, you do not look 42. You look like you're like in your late 20s or something.
Cheers, dude. Yeah, it's what happens when you act like a 12-year-old. You never age.
All right, man. Well, we'll talk soon, Matt. It sounds like you're on the right path over there, and I really, like I said earlier, I like what you're doing, and you're business focused, and it's inspiring. It's really cool.
Thank you very much, dude.
All right, talk to you soon, Matt.
All right, see you soon, buddy.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, so follow Matt on Instagram at Goliath_studios_UK. He's a cool guy. We got the new GuitarGuts pedal coming out, which I'm very excited about. And in the future, we're going to have a couple more, one of them being some type of octave pedal. And I've got kind of designed in my head already. So we'll be making an announcement when the GuitarGuts pedal is completely done and ready. We're only making a few to start off with. We're going to see how it goes. And if people definitely are into it, we're going to make way more of them. But I think the kill switch and the boost is going to be something. I had to make me one extra because I'm going to put it on my pedal board. And you guys are going to see me rocking out with that thing. So let's get into the Q&A now. If you guys have questions, leave them down in the comments below. Message them to me on Instagram, and I'll use them on the show. Last week, Daniel had asked me a question, and then he asked me a follow-up this week. So, not really a follow-up, but another question. We'll start with that one. Lifetime endorsement of Jackson or EVH or Charvel or ESP. So if I could be sponsored by any of these companies, which one would I go with? I mean, I love Jackson's, of course. EVH, that'd be crazy to be sponsored by EVH. Charvel's awesome, but the one that I would choose would be ESP. Ever since I was a little kid, I loved ESP. I used to always, the back of their catalogs would show like the custom order form, and I would always like fill out the custom order form and picture like all these crazy guitars in my head. I would combine them into one guitar and then put them down in the, write out the custom order form. And obviously as a 12-year-old kid, I could have never afforded these guitars, but they were always my favorite. I saw Metallica playing them, and I saw, I knew all the brands. I never had seen ESPs at that time in person because it was like, the late 90s. LTD was like brand new, so LTD was just starting to get shipped over to the US, and I'd seen Jackson's around. I loved them. I loved the Kellys and the Dinkies and everything, but there was something so like untouchable about an ESP. And then when LTDs became available here in the US, I got one right away. The first year that they were being sold in the shop that I used to go to all the time, it was like 1998. I got one right away. And yeah, I would definitely go with ESP. I mean, my favorite guitars that I play are my two Edwards guitars over there. And if I could be sponsored by them, whatever I design with them would be something very similar to those guitars, because you can't really beat those. Those are the best guitars I've ever played. To me, the most attractive guitars I've ever seen. Luke Neiston, something. I always mess up people's names. He asked, what kind of paint do you use, and do you have some sort of paint method? I want to paint a guitar myself, so it could be useful. So what I'm thinking is, over the next couple months, I'm going to put together a step-by-step tutorial on how to paint your own guitar, or how to paint a Frankenstrat, because I get a million questions about this, and it's way too much detail to go into on a show like this, where I'm just sitting here and we're not actually physically doing it. I got to be doing it to show you all the little tips and tricks. Trash to Thrash is too fast-paced. It's not really the type of show where I'm going to sit down and do like a tutorial of exactly how to do something. But what I'm thinking is I'm going to start up a Patreon page. If you guys are into that, let me know down below in the comments, and maybe if there's a big demand for it, I'll start it sooner than later. But I'm going to have a new video every week. One video will be based on how to disassemble your guitar and organize the parts, and how to take a guitar apart. A lot of people are intimidated by that. The next video might be how to sand a guitar. All the little details, what grits to use, what technique to use while sanding. So then week by week, if you have a guitar that you want to repaint, every week a new video comes out, and you'll be able to kind of rebuild the guitar with me. I have a couple Strats over there, so I'm thinking those might be like the perfect candidates to rebuild and do this kind of tutorial on, and then, eventually it'll get to how to paint, my technique for exactly how to spray, how to reassemble, how to add a Floyd Rose on a guitar that never had a Floyd Rose. So that's what I'm thinking. Probably going to end up on Patreon at some point. And by the way, the type of paint I use, normally I use Rust-Oleum 2X. That stuff, they make great, all the different colors, and it's good paint. If you know how to spray and prep well, it's good stuff. All right, next one. Conway 13. What was your first guitar? My first guitar was a Fender Squier Stratocaster Bullet, black with a white pickguard. Just at the time, it was 1994, I believe, and it was just the cheapest guitar that wasn't like, a no-name. My dad knew a couple people who played guitars, and we knew, of course, we knew Fender Stratocasters. He had heard of that before. I was 8 or 9 or something, so I didn't really know what that was, but we walked into the guitar shop, and they didn't have no-name guitars at that place. They had Squier was the cheapest, so that's what we went with. I think they were 170 bucks at the time for the cheapest one, and that did not include an amp. That was not like a Strat pack like they make now. Dave's Vinyl, etc., what's up, Dave? He's the one who bought the Frankenbass. Can you do a custom paint job on a guitar that currently has a sunburst gloss finish? Yeah, the sunburst, it doesn't matter if it's sunburst or if it's blue or purple or what kind of finish it has, or if it's, you know, even if it's flame maple. If it's a gloss finish, the only thing you really have to do is scuff it up good. So use something like a 600 grit sandpaper, make it so that you don't see any shine on the guitar anymore, and it's basically ready to start painting. Ramon Callahan, any tip for cutting a humbucker hole for a new pickguard? How I would do it is I would just buy a new pickguard. If you can't find the pickguard you need, I would buy a template that you can put on there. The tricky thing is when you mount a pickup in a pickguard, you need it to be perfectly centered so that the pickup is going to be sitting exactly under the strings the right way. You don't want to have it cut like, you know, 1/8 of an inch over to the left or right, and then the magnets of the pickups don't line up with the strings. So it's kind of tricky. That's actually kind of tricky. And also to cut the hole itself, you're going to have to be real precise because it's pretty tricky to cut. You know, you probably want to use a router or a Dremel or something like that. But it's a little tricky. So to get those lines to be perfectly straight, that's why I would use a template. And then your router or your Dremel, if you can get a bit that has a ball bearing on it, the ball bearing will follow the guide of your template. So it'll always come out like a perfect copy. That's how I would do that. Josh Darling Art, what's an alternative to a strap lock? A hook? Eye bolt? Yeah, you know what I've seen some people do is they take the strap button off the guitar and they take the screw and like a big washer, but then your strap is stuck on the guitar. I've seen people use duct tape, just duct tape it like crazy. If you're just like, you know, you don't care if your guitar looks crazy or not. There's a lot of different, the eye bolt works, but with the eye bolt system like Eddie Van Halen has, his straps have a clip that clips onto the eye bolt. Some straps are actually, you can like stretch the hole of the mounting hole of the strap around an eye hook or an eye bolt, and that would work. But they also make, this is probably the easiest one, they make these little rubber O-rings. They're like made for strap, basically to hold your strap on. And you put the strap on the guitar and then you stretch this O-ring around and slide it over your strap button and it locks your strap on. I've never personally used them long term, but I've used them just a couple times. Other people, they were on other people's guitars and they hand me the guitar to try and they seem like they work fine. Ice Charger 5000, you still got any Explorers? I do. I have the white one I just showed you at the beginning of the episode. I got a black Epiphone Explorer over there. I have an 80s Japanese Takamine Explorer, which I've had for a long time. Maybe you've seen it with the white paint job and red blood all over it. I don't really play it, but it's a cool guitar. And I also have a Gibson Epiphone, actually, a Gothic Explorer being shipped here right now. That's going to be one of the next projects. So I've got a few Explorers right now. Big Man Chase, what is your favorite guitar that you worked on? I answered a similar question to this last week, but it's hard to say because I've worked on a lot of really cool guitars. I'm looking over across the room at the Stealth Frankenstrat right now. That's one of them. I hardly play it, but I love that thing. It's like a piece of art to me, and I really, out of all the Frankenstrats, that's definitely my favorite one that I've done. But the Alien Blood Haxon, of course, that one stands out. Or the Blood Shadow Haxon. It's hard to say because once I start thinking about them all, they all were different, and I try to do something new or something different on each build, and I learn new skills from each one. Even I built a polka dot Strat for my stepdaughter, and that thing it's awesome. I did it's a pink to purple burst, and then it's flipped colors, so purple to pink burst for the polka dots, and there's a point where the colors cross over, and even that one has clear pick guards and LEDs under the pick guard, and there's just too many. It's hard to say. You know, once I start thinking about them all, they all kind of offered something different, and I learned something from each one. So it's really hard to say. My buddy R2 asked basically the same question. Out of all the guitars you've modded in one way or another, which ones are your favorites? I mean, just told you. Holoformer 2002. Other than Metallica and Van Halen, what is another of your top picks and first riff or solo? So Metallica and Van Halen are like my two top influences for guitar, but when it comes to actual music that I listen to and like jamming, I've written a lot of music and I got to get it up on Spotify. It's like almost done and it's not done yet, but I love progressive stuff. Like super technical progressive music is like one of my favorite things to play because it keeps your brain thinking the whole time. Like when you don't repeat riffs and there's like 50 riffs in one song, or if you do repeat it, it's different the second time through. Like I love a challenge like that. So Between the Buried and Me is like my favorite band. If you guys ever have a chance to check those guys out, or a band like Chon, I love that kind of music where it's like super technical. Dream Theater is like one of my very favorite bands. I love Dream Theater. Just everything about Dream Theater. The singing, the moods that they kind of set with their music. Of course, John Petrucci's shredding. And then I would say another one would be King Diamond. I love King Diamond. I've seen all these bands live that I just mentioned. And King Diamond's live show is incredible. So one of my very favorites. And first riff or solo? I don't remember the first solo. Probably Nothing Else Matters or Sanitarium. Maybe the first one first solo in Fade to Black was one of the first solos I learned. But my first riff was Nirvana, The Man Who Sold the World. And that's the one that's... But I played it wrong. It was the first thing I ever learned. That and Bush's Machine Head are like the two first things I learned. And they were both played wrong by me, but... You know, it's how I started, so, you know, when you learn your first riff, you're probably playing it wrong. Where can we check out the ones for sale? In Ramova. So where can we check out the ones for sale? So I'll have the links up down below in the description if I have the store finished. If not, check out GuitarGuts.com. I'm going to have the links there for the store, so the guitars will be up in one place. Even Stevenson 9, would you make a Frankie with the floater Floyd? Yeah, I just recently actually did. My machinist friend made me a couple brackets so I can put Floyd Roses on any guitar, and I tested it out on a Frankenstrat I was building and did a recessed Floyd Rose, so it's fully floating. And I did do that. So I sold that one. It's on my page, my Instagram page from a couple months ago. And I'll probably show a little bit of it coming up because I'm doing a second guitar for the same guy, Kelvin, right now. And on the episode of Trash to Thrash where I talk about the guitar I'm building for him now, I'll probably show a little bit of the Frankenstrat. Paul Indo. Would love to see some Les Paul or SG content on the channel. Greetings from Holland. See, if someone sends me one, I'll definitely build one, but those are not really my style guitars, so I'm not going to just buy one for the heck of it and mod it up, unless I get bored or there's a reason to, but if someone sends me one, oh, you better believe I'm going to. Actually, someone's going to be sending me a Les Paul really soon. I just remembered that. And that's going to be on Trash to Thrash, so you guys will definitely see that one. Greetings from Holland. Hey, greetings from California. John Washa, do you play anything besides rock and metal? Progressive rock and progressive metal. I like playing theory. I like playing over different types of 80s rock and stuff like that, but mostly it's just rock and metal for me. That's my favorite stuff. Riffs in Rios. Follow-up question, how'd you get so talented at this? It's just practice, you know, doing it for years and practicing, and there's still a long way to go for me. What's the oldest guitar you have by year? I have a couple 1980s guitars in my possession right now, but they're going to be sold. I have a 1998 Les Paul Epiphone Custom, which is an awesome guitar. Just put the headset pickups in that guitar too, and really love that guitar. I'll never sell that one. And then actually, that was my first nice guitar. I posted it on my page this week. If you go back, you could see it, and you could swipe and see me at like 11 or 12 or 13 or whatever I was years old, and you could see me playing the same exact guitar. The year after, I got that in 7th grade, and then in 8th grade, I bought my first LTD. So that one's a 98 and a 97 model Les Paul or something. I think they might be both 98s. I'm not exactly sure, but they're both pretty old. At this point, that's over 20 years old. I also have an 80s Takamine over there on my rack. I'm looking over there, and I see there's an old 60s Japanese guitar I have over there too, but it's not really a player of mine. Riffs and Rios. Would you ever make a website showing off all of your work and where you could also list prices? Yeah, I think I'm going to show like a gallery of all the guitars I've done. Also, not only, you know, not just to like brag about them, but so that people, when they want me to build them a custom guitar, they can look through it and be like, oh, I love that you did this on this one. I love how you did that one. Let's combine these ones together. So I'll probably do that for sure. D. Medell, what's up, Daniel? Breakdowns or riffs? That's tough to say. For me, riffs. It's got to be riffs, but I love breakdowns. In the music that I write, it's progressive metal, and I definitely go back and forth from fast to slow, breakdowns. I love that kind of stuff. I love a good groove. I love like a chopped up rhythm. That's one of the reasons I love kill switches. They chop things up. Christopher Overholt, favorite guitar body shape. Right now, overall, my favorite would be like a standard, like a M series ESP style, or you know, whatever like my Edwards are, like super strat style, dinky soloist, that shape. But I really love stars, like, you know, aggressive, sharp pointed star guitars. So when I get my CNC machine set up, I think the first model that I might start producing that's a original model is going to be probably some type of aggressive, sharp, pointy star. So, all right, well, that does it for me this week, guys. So thanks so much for watching. If you guys have more questions, leave them down in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell to be notified every single week when a new episode drops, hit that like button, and leave a comment down below. You know, leave your questions, let me know what you thought of the episode, and be sure to tune in next week, Sunday morning, grab your coffee, and come back here. I'll see you guys later in the week with Trash to Thrash. Have a good one.